A couple years ago, I found myself in a very disturbing situation. I was getting off work at my student internship in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it had been snowing all day. Now, for all you guys who live in the South, you know it's a big deal when it even calls for snow and grocery stores are raided the night before. I decided to go and get some groceries to enjoy with my girlfriend, now wife. Since the mayhem had ended and only people like me who had trucks or all-terrain vehicles could get around, I went to Walmart and got the groceries I needed and started my way back to my truck. It had soon started to snow harder, and there was already about 5 to 7 inches on the ground, and it was around 12 in the afternoon. I was daydreaming about sledding and watching movies the next couple of days with my girlfriend. Just then, as I almost reached my truck, I was jolted by the act of someone grabbing my arm. As I turned around, I saw an older-looking lady who was maybe 5'6". She asked me if I had a cigarette. Now, I don't smoke, so I told her no, I did not, and turned back to my truck. Again, she gently tugged on my arm, and then she told me that she just got here from Alabama on a bus with her granddaughter and dog, and she was here for breast cancer treatment and wanted money for a hotel. Again, I honestly told her I had no money on me, which I purposely do because I don't like donating to people's drug habits, and would rather get people food myself if that's what they really want. At this point, she said, "Do you know the area well?" Wanting to get out of the situation, I said no, I did not, which was a lie, thinking she'd leave me alone. Then she asked, "Oh, okay, well, since the weather is bad, will you drive me to my hotel so I can meet up with my granddaughter and her dog who are in the hotel lobby waiting? It's right up the road here, I can show you." Me, being a Christian, and was always taught to help people out, so, even though everything at this moment told me to deny this woman again, I told her sure, since I was raised on the rule never judge a book by its cover. Plus, me being a male at 6 foot, I figured I could take her if things got dicey. She jumped into my trunk against all odds, and the next thing I know, she's smoking a cigarette in my truck. I told her politely to please put it out. Being nervous, I missed my first red flag when she asked me for a cigarette, since she obviously had some. She obliged and threw the cigarette out of the window, to my dismay. So we started driving up the road towards the hotel, at which I was on high alert. At the moment of going through worst-case scenarios in my head, I noticed her fumbling through her purse searching for something and looking out the corner of her eye at me. At which I told her, "Just so you know, I have a gun in my truck, so don't try anything crazy." Now, I did have a gun, but it was a shotgun that I neglected to get out of my back seat a couple days earlier, and in reality, this would do me no good if she pulled a gun on me at that moment. At this, she stopped messing around in her purse and pulled out her cell phone from her pocket. She looked at me and said, "Actually, do you mind taking a detour? I need to pick up some money from some friends." Okay, at this point in time, red flags were firing off, but again, never judge a book by its cover kept coming into my mind. So I told her that was fine, but we had to make it quick, because I needed to make it home. At that moment, she dialed someone on the phone and said, "Yeah, this guy is coming over to bring me to get the stuff. You are ready, right?" At this point, I asked her to talk to the person. When I answered the phone, a man who sounded like he'd been chain-smoking since birth said, "Hello." I started asking him questions like, "What's your name?" and asked him if indeed he knew of any hotels nearby. He seemed to stumble over his words, then said he had to go. At this point, I should have gotten a clue and kicked her out of my car, especially after watching so many horror movies. This is when the person goes against their gut and pays for it. But for fear of her actually telling the truth and me feeling like a terrible person, I decided to go on. At this point, we turned down the street and I saw a cop sitting there off to the side. I wanted to drop her off with the cop, but I would feel terrible if she was actually telling the truth. So I passed the cop as, at this point, with a weird, eerie smile on her face, she said, "Glad he's there. Now I feel safe." Now, as we entered the apartment complex, I saw how run down it was. It looked like a place where heavy drug traffic was going on. Just a very unsettling place even during the snow. As I parked outside the place that she said was her friend's, she said, "Okay, I'll go get the guy. Be back." At this, I was very unsettled by everything. Things just didn't seem right. She saw my facial expression of wanting to just get the heck out of Dodge, and to this she sneered at me, saying something along the lines of me being a terrible person if I left her there, in this weather under her condition. At this, I got mad. After all, I went out of my way to help her. As I waited, I started to think about things that could happen. What if she brought back a gun, or worse? At that moment, I saw 3 guys coming towards my truck. I realized things were not right. She had set up to rob me, or something, because these guys were big, and one of them had something behind his back which I could not see. At that moment, I put it in reverse and took off. Thank God for 4-wheel drive. I looked back to them chasing me and see that what was hidden behind the guy's back was a crowbar. I don't know what would have happened to me, but now looking back, I see how dumb and blind I was. There was no hotel anywhere close to the area I was in. The nearest hotel or motel was 20 minutes away. Had I waited for these guys to get to my truck, they probably would have beaten me and robbed me, or worse. I thank God every day that I escaped and was able to get married and tell this event. After that, I have never been to that Walmart ever again, or the area for the matter. A couple of months later, I told my coworkers this story, and he told me that a year ago, the same lady tried the same thing to him, but he declined altogether. Smart move on his part. So, horrible lady who lied about having breast cancer to trick people into awful things, I hope you get what's coming to you, and let's never meet again. So, be careful who you help out, because some people will take advantage of you, or even worse.